Now that we learned about this head element, we of course don't just want to set our own title and description for the starting page, but also for the other pages. And feel free to do this on your own, of course, with your titles and descriptions of your choice. I will start here with events index.js, and then here in the fragment, maybe here, add this head component, and of course therefore also import it. So import head from next head like this. And then here, since this lists all events, I will give it a title of all events, and I'll keep this description text. Of course, we could use a different one, but I'll keep that. Copy this again, go to the event ID page for a single event, and here I then also add this in my fragment and add the import head from next head like this. And with that, again, fine-tune this. And here, the title should actually be the title of the selected event. Now, the great thing is, since we use that in our regular page component JSX code, we can, of course, also inject dynamic content here. So instead of hard coding the title, we can use event.title here to use the title of the selected event. This is, of course, very important, because this ensures that we don't have to hard code all that head data in advance, but that since we add it to the regular component JSX code, that we can, of course, also use a lot of dynamic values. For the content, so for the description here, we could therefore, for example, also use event.description. So that is very, very useful. And with that, if I go to the slug, here I also want to add this, add it down there, and therefore also import this from next. So import head from next head like this, and also set a title and a description here. So here I'll say filtered events, and then here we could, of course, again use a dynamic value for the description and kind of construct a dynamic text where we say all events for, and then I want to use the actual month and year that was selected. So I'll just output for num month slash num year. And of course, you can fine tune this text and format this state however you want. But with that, if we save all those different page files, if I go to all events, for example, and I search for events in May, we see that if I inspect the rendered page, in the head section, we have that title and we have that description with that content that contains the month and year. Now, it's also worth noting that we don't just see this head content in the actual rendered page, which we see here when we inspect it, but also in the response from the server. If we go back to the starting page, if we reload this page and we then view the page source, so that we now fetched a brand new page from the server, we also find the title in here and we also find the description in here. So that is really part of the response, which is important because that means that search engines will see it. Now you might notice though that if you filter for events, if we set a filter here and we find our events, here if we reload this page, in the page source we don't see the title and the description. And that's not a bug, but it has a simple reason. In our slug page here, we do add a head, but we only add it here in the main content, which we return if we make it past all these if checks we have in front of it. Now, if we make it into one of those if checks to show the loading text, or to show this error, or to show another error, then we didn't add head here. And of course we can add head here, and we probably would want to add head here to set specific different titles for these cases. But you also might want to set up some general head content, which is part of every page. And of course you can do that by including it in every page, but that involves a lot of copy and pasting. And therefore, let's now have a look at the different ways and tools Next.js gives us for reusing logic or reusing configuration like certain head elements across all pages without having to copy them around.